Nicknamed the China Wall, Johnny Bower was fearless. An opposing forward crashing the crease. No problem. Bobby Hall slapshot, bring it on. In fact, Johnny Bower was best known for a poke check when he dove head first in an opposing forward as they came into the zone. Who better to catch up with Johnny than Kevin Weeks of the NHL Network, another member of the Goaltenders Union.
Hello everybody, we're here at the beautiful Hockey Hall of Fame with legendary goaltender Johnny Bower. Johnny, just want to talk a little bit, welcome you first of all. Thanks so much for joining us, we really appreciate it. But being a fellow goalie growing up here in Toronto, I had the chance to watch a lot of highlights of you, and of course I played in a different era, this now being my first year retired, but your career was quite spectacular. Maybe you can take us through a little bit about what it meant when you first came in with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we'll get to a couple more things a little bit down the road.
Sure. Thank you, Kevin. Nice meeting you. And you're a great goaltender yourself, too.
Thank you.
You know.
Thank you.
And yeah, I never gave up for one thing, and I always wanted to have my name engraved on the Stanley Cup. And I thought at one time, being in Cleveland, and then of course I'd never get a break, but because there's so many great goaltenders, particularly at that time, it was hard to break in. They only had 6 goaltenders. But anyway, in 58, 59, when I got to Toronto, I was one of the greatest thrills of my life because I thought, oh, I finally made it. And then, of course, then we found out we had Mr. Imlach as a coach, and apparently he coached Providence at one time, and I got to know Punch fairly well, and I know he's very, very strict and demanding in your work, and he used to tell me, too, and if you work hard, he says, you'll stay with this club. And he said, if you don't, you're going to go back where you came from. So. But they only wanted me here, Kevin, for only 1 year, right? But I fooled him and was here about 12 more years.
One of the main things now that everybody talks about is equipment, and the difference in the equipment from our era now compared to your era when you were playing. Could you talk a little bit about what it was like playing, first of all, with no mask, and then with the quality of the equipment at that time? What was the reality of that like for you?
Well, you know, when you mentioned no mask, I learned how to duck, believe me. But anyway, I had problems. I had problems seeing with the mask. Actually, I only wore a mask for about 17 games, and I used to tell Punch, I says, I can't see too well with that mask. He says, you can't see anyway, so what makes a difference anyway, you know? So I said, no, really, but it certainly gives you a lot of protection, no doubt about that, but something you have to get used to, and I couldn't get used to it at all. And it was the one I had was the one that was a molded mask at that time, but the ones that they have now, like the one you have in your hand here, it's a beautiful mask.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I call it the wire mask, and it's great. I put it on when you got here, Kevin, as you know, and I could see really good. Hey, I might make a comeback here with that.
What was the feeling like having to face guys in practice every day, your own teammates, and then face guys in game situations without a mask? And you said you actually preferred that, but what was that like?
It was scary. I was always afraid of losing an eye, and I come very, very close to losing my eye at times, particularly on and deflections. And of course, when you're practicing, you know, you don't quite bear down like you do in the game, and you should, because that puck's coming at you pretty fast, you know, 80, 90, 100 miles an hour on you. So, and then that's when Punch said, you better start wearing a mask in practice. I said, Punch, I'm not going to look good in practice, and I'm afraid, I said, you're going to get another goaltender in there. Like, you take Sachak, I had to fight him. And I said, I'm going to be sitting the bench, and I don't like sitting the bench. He says, you just play your game, and he says, I'm going to try and split you guys, which he did. He played half, and I played half of the season. But it's something that gives you a lot of protection. I mean, you're not afraid to die for a puck or anything like that when you got a mask like that. You know, you're not going to get cut or anything. So, but still, I just couldn't get used to it.
Well, one thing I noticed is that you were a very active goalie. And again, in seeing clips of you, you were acrobatic. How did you come up with the poke check, and when did you use it in game situations?
Okay, when I was in 1952-53, I was drafted by the New York Rangers, and Charlie Rayner was they called him Prince Charlie there in New York. He retired, and he was watching me. He came from Saskatoon, and I came from Prince Albert, not too far, so he knew me pretty well. And he was watching me practice one day. He says, you know, you don't handle that puck that well. He says, you got to learn how to do the poke check. I didn't know what he was talking about.
Right.
And after practice, he came on the ice and he lined up the pucks over here, there, about 5 pucks, and I used to go out and poke check, get up for 10 minutes after I practiced. It was all timing, more or less, on a poke check. You had to wait till the guy came close enough to you and then give it. But if you did miss a puck accidentally, get your stick in front of his skates and you go flying into the corner.
Right.
That was accidentally. You
Yes,
didn't do that on
yes.
purpose.
Johnny, did you ever feel a pressure to go to the mask after some of your peers started wearing them? Did you ever feel that sense that, hey, I got to wear one of these?
No, not really. I just felt, well, I know things are changing, equipment is changing and everything else, and it's time now, the way the players are shooting the puck, you better put something on your face because you got one head and you want to keep it. And and I was a little, I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't scared. Sure, I was scared, but I never thought about it. I just had one job to do, and that was to try to stop the puck as long as you can.
Yes.
And I noticed your
Always.
face, like you haven't got any scars like I have.
Yeah,
right?
but
Yeah.
well, thanks.
That's wrinkles. That's all right. Yeah. You ever get hit in the face with a puck?
Yeah, funny enough, you should ask. When I was playing in the IHL, in the International Hockey League with Detroit, I got a shot on the right side here, and it was a wrist shot off a face-off, and the cage exploded.
Wow.
And it cut me. I ended up getting cut right here, right above my eyebrow. You're laughing because this is the only one I've got. This is the only one I
got
have.
one stitch or two
I got,
stitches?
it was 2 stitches. I got to admit, it was 2 stitches. But this is the only one that I got right here. But I can't imagine. When it happened, I just freaked out. I panicked.
Right.
You know, anytime something with your eye, it's
right.
your worst fear. So I ended up skating. It was in our home end, and I skated right through the Zamboni doors. I was bleeding, and I got into the locker room, and the trainer calmed me down. And after about 5 minutes, my vision started coming back. So I dodged a bullet there, literally. But yeah, I really freaked out. I can't imagine you guys doing it. You're probably calling me a pansy now.
No. It's pretty scary.
But I
It's
can't
a dangerous job being a goaltender.
This is true, but I can't imagine you guys having that every day, the reality of that every day. So credit to you. And on behalf of all of us here at the Hockey Hall of Fame, on behalf of our team here at the NHL Network, we want to thank you for taking the time out. It's special to get a chance to connect with you and get some of your stories. You truly are a legend and an inspiration. Thanks again,
Thank
Johnny.
you, Kevin.
Thank
It's great
you.
to be here. And
Thank
also
you.
the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's just wonderful.
Thank you.
He had one of the most iconic poses ever in the NHL, as well as having one of the most memorable masks. We'll go one-on-one with the legendary Ken Dryden when we come back.